Time for business. Kate Moody is here with the latest, starting with the man called Madoff.
Yes, the man called Madoff, Bernie Madoff, dying in a federal prison today at the age of 82. He, of course, was the mastermind of what was the biggest financial scam in history. Now, looking back, he was a Wall Street broker who founded his own investment firm in 1960 at the age of 22. He became one of the most influential people in American finance, even serving as the non-executive chairman of the NASDAQ in the 90s. His success, though, was revealed to be a front, and a pretty big one at that. He was convicted of defrauding as many as 37,000 people across more than 130 countries over several decades. He ripped them off of more than $65 billion. Victims included the rich and famous from Wall Street to Hollywood, but also thousands of individuals, families, teachers, mechanics, farmers. He was turned in by his two sons in late 2008, really in the depths of the U.S. financial crisis. A year later, he was sentenced to 150 years in prison and ordered to hand over $170 billion to those that he had cheated. Those who testified at his trial said they had ruined their lives, taken all their life savings, their pensions. The judge described him as having committed extraordinarily evil crimes that had taken a staggering human toll. As of mid-2020, trustees had recovered about $14 billion for his scammed customers.
It's really hard to imagine the scale of this white-collar crime, but obviously he was indiscriminate. He would basically screw anybody in terms of how he took money from them and the crimes that he committed. As you pointed out, Kate, horrific. So Ponzi scheme, talk us through the basics of what this actually means. Ponzi scheme.
Well, it's that expression that only came into really modern parlance when he was arrested. It's essentially a pyramid scheme. So investors pay in a certain sum, expecting that money to be invested in the stock market and expecting to get a return on that investment. Instead, what Madoff did is he deposited all that money in a bank account, or a series of bank accounts, really. He paid off new customers with funds from the earlier ones while pocketing a huge portion of it to finance what was an increasingly lavish lifestyle for him and his family. Accounting statements from his company showing huge returns were all entirely fake. Now, this kind of a scheme can keep going until it collapses, until someone claims an amount that cannot be paid back, or until it's exposed. In this case, it was claims for $7 billion that were supposedly invested, but that really no longer existed. These scams are named for Charles Ponzi. He was a fraudster back in the early 1900s, but one specialist points out that now they could really be renamed Madoff schemes. One documentary described him as the most hated man in America because of the scale, the scope, and the depth of this fraud. And it's worth pointing out, more than a decade later, many of his victims are still paying the price.
Indeed, and it wasn't just celebrities. I understand someone like Steven Spielberg maybe lost money on this one. Ordinary people who just lost their life savings, didn't they? It's that kind of thing that makes this really horrific.
Absolutely. I mean, it really grabbed the headlines because of people like Steven Spielberg, Kevin Bacon, but it came all the way down. It was Wall Street, Hollywood, and then down to Main Street. So many different people were affected.
Bernie Madoff, dying in prison, 82 years of age. What more can we say? Thank you to Kate for the business. Great to see you. Kate Moody with all the business. We'll, of course, have more to come very shortly. Stay with us.
Special event.
Hi, I'm Thomas Pesquet. Join me on France 24 and RFI for the entire duration of my next trip called Mission Alpha. Discover life on board the space station, scientific experiments, and other moments I will be sharing with you while away from Earth for 6 months.
Follow Thomas Pesquet on board the International Space Station on France 24 and RFI.